deep concerns when it comes to the Employment Rights Bill.
On the Employment Rights Bill, yes, I get the concerns. One good thing about businesses, they don't hold back when they talk to me about concerns, and quite right too, because those conversations really matter. It meant a lot. I've already said this to Siobhan this morning. It meant a lot to me that Siobhan put out a response to our industrial strategy, which not just said it was good, but said it reflected what you had fed into us. That is because I believe that government isn't as good at doing business as business is as good at doing business. And therefore feeding back what business said to us. So yes, people have raised concerns with me about the Employment Rights Bill, but equally, many people have recognised that a secure, protected workforce is good for business, drives up productivity, and most of what's in the Employment Rights Bill is done by good businesses in any event. It is good practice in many businesses. We'll continue to work with you as we implement it, of course, as I think you'll see in the work we've done in government. But in the end, I firmly believe that a well-respected, well-protected workforce is an essential ingredient for economic growth and drives up productivity, and that's the place that we want to get to.
Okay, running out of time, I want to get a couple of questions from the floor, and I know we've got a couple of people here in the front who want to ask a question. Just give us your name and where you're from, please. Thank you.
Thanks, Clive. Good morning. I'm John McCabe from
good to see you again, John.
North East Chamber of Commerce. Great to see you again, Prime Minister. You talked in your speech about devolution, and Chambers of Commerce across the North came together recently to welcome the Great North Initiative that our respective Metro Mayors came together to launch. I just wonder if we could have your thoughts on how together we can ensure that that's not just another slogan, it's a meaningful strategy which will deliver and drive economic growth across the North, with Chambers playing an absolutely pivotal role linking between national government, regional leadership and the business community. Thank you.
Well, thank you for that. And I think devolution is critical to growth for a number of reasons. First, economic growth can't just be a line on a graph measured in some parts of the country but not others. It's got to be everywhere. And it's got to be felt by people everywhere, and therefore devolution is an essential part of that to meet the challenge that it's got to be growth in every part. I also believe, as a fundamental principle, that those with skin in the game make the best decisions about their own communities, because they, the difference between somebody in Whitehall taking a decision about the North East and someone in the North East taking a decision about the North East is massive, because if you live, if you work, if you've got a business in the North East, you absolutely care as to whether each and every part of the decision is the right decision. I think mayors give us an opportunity. We were a bit wary of mayors as Labour to start with, but actually, on reflection, I think they've worked really well. We want to build them up because they give the political representation on a scale that works for business. And that's why, to give an example, on things like infrastructure and skills, I want that to be led from development. So when we're thinking, what's the infrastructure, what's the transport, the first thing we do is talk to businesses and mayors in the region to say what would be, given the amount of money we've got, what's the best transport. Equally on skills, because I think if local businesses, local politicians and local colleges get round the table to say, what are the skills that are needed by the businesses in the North East, not generally across the country, but in the North East, they're likely to come up with the right courses in the right colleges to feed into the businesses that are there. So this isn't just a political slogan for me, it's a way of doing business. And I genuinely believe it'll produce much better results than teams of people in Whitehall trying to make decisions. We've tried that model, it doesn't really work, for the obvious reason that somebody sitting in Whitehall will never make as good a decision as you will about what's needed in the North East or anywhere in the country.
All right, thank you for that. And one more question, briefly. The front here, I think. Oh, here we are.
Right, thank you. Good morning, Prime Minister, and thank you very much. Charlotte Horrobin, and I'm the Chief Executive of the Cambridgeshire Chambers of Commerce, and Cambridge is, of course, a jewel in our crown. Yep. It's an absolute global hub of innovation, but we do face some challenges around investment into our infrastructure. We do have planning delays and we desperately do need housing. So how can government help to make sure that we unlock and unleash the technology and the innovation opportunity, not just in Cambridgeshire, but for the whole country?
Thank you very much. I'll try and give a short answer to two or three aspects of that question which are really important. On infrastructure and housing and building, we have to move on planning. And that's why the Planning and Infrastructure Bill is so important. Because, you almost don't need me to tell this, but the time it takes from the idea of a project, the concept, through to the build and the finish of a project is far too long. Housing projects that are sort of 10 years, 15 years. I went to one during the election campaign just outside York, and from the first planning application to the house I saw with a front door that someone could live in was 25 years. Far too long. And so planning is intended to, the Planning and Infrastructure Bill is to shorten all that and make sure that whether it's houses, infrastructure, sorting out the grid for power has to be speeded up, has to be much more efficient. I do think, just to take the second part of your question, technology and AI are hugely important in this as well. And on AI, I think there are two stances. You can either be forward-leaning, seeing it as a huge opportunity that's going to transform our businesses, large and small, or you can lean out and see it as a bit of a risk, better be cautious, put a lot of regulation around it. I'm a leaner in. I think it's going to be transformative. And we put out our AI action plan at the beginning of the year, had a very successful London Tech Week a few weeks ago. And I think for all businesses, we need to support you in making maximum use of AI. And I think that AI makes us more human, which sounds counterintuitive, but using AI to do all the bits that take a lot of time, don't involve a lot of human intellect, frees up the time for the human decision-making. One of the examples I can give, we just co-created an AI tool in government, actually, in planning, which allows us to suck up all of the material into one place at great speed and organise it, which used to take human beings a very, very long time to do. That allows the planning decision to be taken by a human being at speed because they're not wasting their time or waiting for that exercise to be done. It's a small example. There are plenty of others. Other aspects of government, social workers are now using AI to do a lot of the administration so that they can use their professional skills where they're needed. So many, many examples on technology. We need to push ahead. Planning and infrastructure push ahead. But in a sense, there's a mindset here, which is let's just knock the barriers out of the way that are stood in the way of growth, whether it's regulation, planning, infrastructure, slowness, the grid not being quick enough, AI and tech not being accessible enough. They're the sort of barriers that need to be knocked out of the way. That's the partnership between government and business. And I think I said this 2 years ago, Siobhan, which is a true partnership is not two people or two bodies trying to do the same thing. It's two people or bodies realising they bring different things to the table. Government shouldn't try to run businesses. We've done that in the past. It doesn't work particularly well. So business should run business. Government should partner business by creating the conditions which makes it easier for businesses to run their businesses.
Prime Minister, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, Sir Keir Starmer.
Thank you. Thank you, Clive.
No, we were on journalism school together. That's where we started, so it's brilliant. Yeah, absolutely. I'm still in touch with you too. Thank you. Right, ladies and gentlemen, we continue. I hope the Prime Minister answered some of your questions. I hope you got a little bit of an insight into what the government says it's trying to do to help everyone in this room. Now, can I ask Siobhan to come back to the stage, please?